How many people are familiar with 100 Amazing Facts About the Negro? Everybody should be familiar with this book. In this book, it speaks about the Moors. We were Ethiopians and Moors before the 1500s, before we were called so-called blacks. It's in his book. Another book, great book, Ancient and Modern Brits, written in 1884. And it tells you what we were remembered as Moors in Britain. Another great book, Nature Knows No Color Line, J.A. Rogers. Get these books, research them, and then start challenging these so-called scholars. And I'm glad to see a lot of young people in the room. And this is what we need. We're projecting ourselves into the future. Can anybody give me the name of this country? Let's go to the young one.
California.
California, he said. I know that's kind of threw you off, didn't it? Y'all was going to say America, didn't you? We all study civics, right? America's a continent with 3 of them. The country is California with that flag right there, which they call states. Get your lessons together.
We won't cut through the chase because our time is very short. But I want you to take notes, challenge everything I say. First, all mothers rise, please. We want to give you honor for bringing us here. We already know that all Asiatic African countries and culture is matriarchal, not patriarchal. We're kind of messed up a little bit, you all, because we have started following after Rome, and we've mixed the dogma of the papacy into the principles of ancient Asia and Africa. That's basically where we're messed up. But we know that no one gets here except through the Stargate, so we want to thank you all for bringing us here. Divine law does not recognize person or station, and we've been violating the law. We know that COINTELPRO operations are in order at all times. Any Asiatic African organizations that set up to begin to free or liberate people, they will always have infiltration, so don't be surprised. Take notes, because I'm going to connect you back to the estate, because there's a lot of things that you need to be doing, particularly last year. House Joint Resolution 2847. This is where the United States Corporation, the religious corporation of the United States Company, which is not the land, understand it's a private religious organization belonging to the popes of Rome. They're going to be stealing all your bank accounts because the worlds are turning in all of their T-bonds. And so you're going to have to learn a little bit about estate because you lost your estate. So you're going to have to learn law, international law, to begin to protect yourselves and your families. Put away water and food so you can survive at least 6 months. I want to make a point to you so that you know one of the Masonic secrets that Obama exposed when he went to Hikupta. Hikupta is the proper name of Egypt. That's not Egypt. That's a sociological name. Just like anything else, we come to people where they are, but the adepts are to take them where they should be. Give you an example. The land you're standing on is Morocco. This is the flag that's been on this land over 70,000 years. From ancient Amexem, Central Old Africa is Old Amexem. That's the Yucatan area and is referred to by the sociologists as Old Mech. That's Old Amexem. The ancient scientific complex is there, actually in Mexico. The technology took place in Mexico, and the genetic research was done, or what you call the eugenics, took place more in Patagonia. Patagonia today is called Argentina. This is where the hybrid was made that is referred to in the book of Genesis, chapter 25. Isaac asked Allah that his wife was barren. Would he hook her up? And she bare 2 sons, but they're not twins, they're 2 different nations. That is a little bit of information on the hybrid experience that experiments and the technology that was formulated at Pedro Negra, that's in Mexico, and the technology was carried out in Patagonia, which is Argentina, and that's where your red man was made, who is known today as the Roman. That has been the source of the world's problems for quite a couple thousand years right now. Because people don't know the real history of humanity, we're kind of confused. And because some history is held back from you by those who rule on both sides, people have become hateful with each other. They've become divided. Think races. There's no races. There's one race. It's called the human race. And the human race is expanded into families, which are called nations and nationalities. And logically, cutting through that chase, with the great red chieftains, who set up the order of the Franciscan Brotherhood for the overthrow of the Moorish Empire, is the source of the world's problems today across the planet. All scholars know this stuff. But understand, sometimes when people get caught into paths and they find out certain information, they're limited or they have a reluctance to reveal that information because it proves them as being frauds right along with the European. How many people know Carlos Linné? Carlos Linné. He's referred to in history as Carl Linnaeus. He is one of the Maltas that set up the code system for the phenotypes that is used today. This is where those overseer scholars get this black-white paradigm from. That's totally fictitious. It's for servitude. For instance, like when our people agree to be black people, they come under the Christian black codes that was set up in 1868 when they closed the Freedmen's Bureau. That's an agreement, and those codes apply. That's where your abuse comes from, because there's no such people. It's a code system for Christian property, but some adults have difficulty handling that. Law and history goes together. All scholars know this fact, but keep in mind that when you're dealing with what you call truths, political truths on the human condition, it has a tendency not to generate a lot of finance for the pockets of the leader guys. And so they have a tendency to suppress that kind of history because it can't be sold. It's birthright issues. And so they usually will sell you things that get you emotionally charged and where they can collect finance but cure nothing. So we're going to talk about some things today that you can use when you start getting in trouble. Like when the Inquisitionists come after you. Under the Spanish Inquisition, with Torquemada and the rest, for the collections, the tithing for the Roman army, it is called the Inquisition Revenue Services. It was set up, solidified in a corporate entity by Woodrow Wilson to counter Noble Drali in 1913 to 1916, and that's the Federal Reserve. And the Internal Revenue Services is really the Inquisition Revenue Services. It's a tax for the popes of Rome. The 1040 form that they have you sign or set up during the entry of Astarte, that's the entry of the crescent and the star when the Venus and the moon comes into the eastern sky. They call it East Star. The star is now in the east. During that time, you got to pay the queen. And so the 1040 that you've been signing, that so-called tax for the Internal Revenue Service, 40% goes to the Queen of England, 60% goes to Rome. Not a penny goes to your children, not a penny goes to your streets. That's why you're broke. And it has nothing to do with the republic that was set up by the Moors and some Europeans to stop the wars between the Christians and the Muslims, which is really what the United States Republic actually is, the beacon light that was set up by agreement to stop the hundreds of years of wars between the Moors and the Christians. That's your connection to this said government. That is not the national flag. That's the flag of amity and commerce. That's the national flag. Now, I'm gonna give you a few keys for you to understand, and understand that you're right now you're standing in Mexico. North America, Central America is Moors and Mexicans. We're to the north, Mexico is to the south. They're your family. The only alien here is Europeans. Don't abuse the knowledge and don't reject people. Don't make them feel bad, but don't let them play that game with you that your family is aliens. And so when they start calling your brothers and sisters aliens, you correct them on the spot. Because when they steal their birthright, they're stealing your birthright. So welcome to Mexico. Welcome to Queen Khalifa's territory, because it was named after Queen Khalifa. She was a Moabite queen. She ruled this whole area. She was actually one of the last of the ones of the fighters to die from the empire. Yes. So you got to really know your real history. And then a lot of Asiatics know this, but if they tell that real history, they can't keep on promoting the diaspora, which is partly fiction. We were here for thousands of years. All the land or the earth we call Asia, and we came from Asia, went into Lower Asia Minor and called it Africa. This is why you're referred to as Asiatics. And everybody knows that, but that kind of spoils the game that they've been playing on our people. You see the point? Because they've structured history in such a way to distort history that even in the quest of getting out of the European jurisdiction, they told more lies. And then once they're caught, they don't want to back up and clean this mess up. But in real law, you can't lie and get something positive out of it. All it does is give the European an excuse for mandate. This is why the Europeans still ruling, because we're full of doo-doo. We have limited courage to just tell the truth and recognize that all of the problems of humanity is not just the Europeans' fault. It's also our fault for violating our own law. We're violating our own principles, and so we fell. So you need to know the real history so that you must rise where you fell, and you must rise with honor. So you must come into this knowledge with love and not hate. Does not mean that you're supposed to let somebody kick your butt, but don't come in this thing with hate because you're not innocent. And so while the Europeans under the Pope and the Hasidic, who are claiming to be Jews or not Jews, there's no such thing as Jew. It's Yahudi. We're Yahudi. J didn't come into the language to the 1500s. So we are the ones who crossed the river anciently from the ancient pharaohs of Hikupta. And those of us who crossed the river are falsely referred to as Jews. It's not Jews, it's not who we are, it's what we did. And people are confused when they go into the Bible and stuff like that and think it's a different people. We're the same people. Like they say, Ham and Cush, father and son, it's same family, it ain't different people. And now the sociologists call us Semitic. That's a term that was made by German sociologists. It's not original, but that is in reference to Asiatic African peoples of the Nile Valley and out. So when they start calling you anti-Semitic, they're saying you're against yourself. And understand that the Romans, the Europeans who call themselves Jews, are most of the Europeans that took over the Yetta. That's the areas, the wealthy areas in Europe that the Moors ruled before the Romans ran the Moors out of Europe on 1492 with the Pontifex of 1492 and Inter Terra Divina 1493, which makes the policies of the politics of the planet Earth today. The enforcement of those bullahs from the church are enforced by what is known as the Secret Treaty of Verona, which you can find in your congressional records. Write that down. This is the basis of the interior overthrow of the republic and the setup of the demos system referred to as a democracy in 1933 with Skull and Bones member Lyndon Baines Johnson, Franklin Delano Roosevelt to put a capstone on what Wilson did in 1913, which was also done by certain traders in 1871 when they turned the republic into a corporation in order to put the Moors later, as they did earlier, solidify the 14th Amendment artificial person in the state of Delaware as Christian property. This is why such persons is called Negroes, Black, and Coloreds, and what do they call themselves this week, can't vote with them names that don't belong to them, except that the overseer, or what you call the CEO, through the Senate, agrees that their cattle can vote as 3/5 persons because they have no name and nationality. When you understand the history from a law perspective, your view will change from it just being some historical flaw or some little dirty trick that the Europeans do. You would need to understand its political ramifications. If you transact business in another man's name, don't talk about estates and don't talk about property because you don't even own your own body. And this is where, under the Christian Black codes, where they set up where the marriage license is registered in the Department of Commerce, then registered in the Department of Orphans, and this is where your children, even before they're born, become wards of the state, which is a legal term for night slave. And see, nobody's offended because they know that most of our people don't read law, and so they just hear the word and it's interesting. And then the scholars ain't going to tell them because they playing this black game. You understand? When they know these people aren't black. I want you to write down black, and I want you to go into Oxford Dictionary. And I'm going to show you why they don't have hardcover Oxford dictionaries in communities where persons of color exist, because they want you to think it's an identity. Color means actually artificial person, means a fake, simulacrum, as distinguished from that which is real. So they need promoters to make you think it's real, to take you out of the human family. Now you come under the black codes. This is where your abuses come from legally, because it's an agreement. Because every man, woman, and child must honor their mothers and fathers. You're no different. We like to think we are, but you're really not different.